Hello and welcome back to Southern Sports Media Racing Podcast. Tonight we are here to talk about the Daytona 500 and what we saw today. I'm Devin. I'm joined by Nick and David again tonight. So Austin Cindric, 23 years old, wins his first career NASCAR Cup Series race and only his eighth start in the NASCAR Cup Series on Roger Penske's birthday. So a little celebration there for the captain. What was y'all's takeaways from what we saw in the Daytona 500?
I'm glad I ate my words and say this was going to be a boring race. I was being optically pessimistic, God dang words. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a crap show. No lie. And I'm glad I was wrong. It was actually a really entertaining race. A lot of good cars got taken out in both those two wrecks right before the end. And the final one just put the icing on the cake to make it a decent finish. Probably wasn't the greatest that we've seen, but still better than what I was expecting. It's good to see drivers actually go out there and race instead of just ride around.
Yeah, I mean, the comparable Daytona 500 to this would be the 2013 Daytona 500. And I think it was a hell of a lot better than that. How many wrecks were there? Four?
Yeah,
Probably
I
four
think
or five.
five cautions for five incidents, and then the two stage breaks. I think seven total.
Yeah, so two of the five wrecks caused by the same person um, who likes to talk about how other people can't drive at plate tracks. But yeah, overall, it was pretty good. There was a lot of passing. What the cars, what do they go, 190 now?
Yeah, that was
Um,
about the average.
you
Yeah.
could see when you saw on this edge they were getting up to about towards the end there about 195, 196 when their
Yeah.
peaks when they were tandeming.
This is what I've seen. Those cars move a lot more than they used to move. I don't know if that's just something that's more obvious now because the cars were wider, but they were moving a lot today, moving back and forth, people getting loose. I think Bubba had a really insane save at one point. And there's a couple of people that are leading that line, and then all of a sudden they just shoot down because they're extremely loose. Um, I don't. Did Keselowski hit Stenhouse, or was he just air loose?
No, he's pushing them. Same
He
thing
was
with
pushing
Burton.
him.
He was pushing them.
Yeah, but yeah. Obviously, we had some good wrecks, but like some wrecks to test the safety of the next gen car, and seems like it passed with flying colors. Yeah,
Yeah, so the talk of the town this week is probably going to be Brad Keselowski because at the end of stage one, he was behind rookie Harrison Burton when a push went wrong and Burton went airborne on the backstretch and caught and collected a few other notable drivers, including Denny Hamlin. And then, as you referenced, there was another incident where Brad Keselowski got into the back of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., triggering a two-car wreck. So, does Keselowski's racing style, is it justifiable? I mean, is he wrong for doing what he did? Should he have been more cautious? Or, it, you know, one of y'all take the side of Keselowski and one of y'all take the side of the driver on the other side.
I'll take the side of Keselowski.
All
I
right,
can't do
so
that.
No, I'd be racing that way too if my team was going to get
Yeah.
nailed with $500,000 in penalties on Tuesday.
Yeah, true.
I'd be racing that way too.
Oh no, I think you figure after the first one he would learn where not to try to be pushing him off turn and stuff
Especially
like that.
since he's been such an advocate for stupid plate racing, you would think that he would be the last person to cause more than one wreck in one race. Especially when that car was flat out fast too. It's not like he had an inferior car. That car could straight up win that race.
Oh no, you think it was the Carl Edwards effect when he went from having to or the reverse of the Carl Edwards effect when Carl went from Roush to Gibbs and learned that he didn't have to drive the car as hard? You think that Keselowski feels like he's going to have to drive the car twice as hard in order to get what he got out of it from Penske?
I mean, probably, but this is the next gen car. It's a completely new slate. There's really no data, and I think throughout the 200 laps to that point, duels plus the 500 to that point, he should have known that that car was fast.
Yeah, the RFK, all the Fords were fast this weekend, and I don't think Keselowski's driving style was affected by the switch to a new team or any of that. That's how Brad Keselowski's always raced on plate tracks. He's a very aggressive plate racer, and he's one of those that always wants to test the limits of what you can do on the track, and he's gonna not make many friends doing that, but he learns when he does. Well, we say he does. Today he did it twice, but something he may have learned something out of that that we do not know. So, we can't, I guess, shame him, but
Oh
it's
yeah, we
kind of,
can.
Yeah, we are.
well, I'll defend Keselowski for now, but
The
I,
team owner that's wrecking everybody, including his own car.
yeah, I mean, it's not great, but like I said, it's nothing new from Keselowski.
No,
He did this when he was at Penske. He did it
that's true.
last year with him and Logano. They wrecked each other out of the 500 on the last lap. So
Okay, in
it's
Keselowski's defense, the 500 last year was not his fault.
yes,
That
that
wreck
is
was
true.
not his fault.
Yeah.
But I just think it
So
was really funny that Cindric won the race after Keselowski was doing all that stuff. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. The irony that Austin Cindric in his first ever race with Roger Penske in the two car wins the Daytona 500, and him and Blaney worked well together all day long, and Logano never really was with his other two Team Penske teammates. We saw Harrison Burton before he got crashed out. He was running really well, really good as well. So going forward into Talladega in the spring and moving on, do y'all think they should adjust the package for super speedways or leave it as is?
You got to leave it as it is. I mean, you just had one race to determine. I mean, they learned so much throughout or the cars that finished the race learned so much on what they can and can't do. And Keselowski learned, or hopefully he learned what he can't do, but probably won't push over to Talladega. Um, I mean, I didn't see bad racing throughout the race. I didn't see anything stand out except for the couple wheel issues that just randomly happened and then all of a sudden disappeared again. Um, Other than that, like I didn't really see anything that stood out that NASCAR needs to address on this package. I mean, it created some good racing. Cars could get runs by themselves. They didn't have to depend on cars 4, 5, 6 cars behind them. You staying in line with them.
It seems like the side draft was a lot more manageable than it used to be too.
Yeah, I
Like you
think
could
someone
drive
heard
down
some
the
some people talking about how the side draft isn't as effective, and you have to hang into it as long.
yeah, and that's going to end up causing some wrecks at some point. Just hanging on somebody's door, get loose or something, what wreck everybody. But yeah, I don't see any reason for concern on terms of the package right now. I'm sure we'll find something at some point. But what'll be interesting to me is, or for example, when Kyle Busch was leading the line with the damage, that line went right to the back. And I know it's always been that way, but is there some way maybe to, when you have a car like that, be able to have him be able to hang up there by himself a little bit?
I don't think there's even going to be a way to do that. I mean, the lead car is the one punching the hole, and when
Yeah.
it takes more horsepower to punch a bigger hole and punch a hole because your car's messed up, I mean, that's just going to take speed away from that line.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that the safety of the cars kind of passed the test
Yeah,
today. I
two
mean,
thumbs up.
there was no suspension parts ending up in buses or anything, or any engines flying into the infield or anything like that. So, not that that could ever happen or anything, but
No, no, no.
Well, yeah, for those who may not know what he referenced, Myatt Snyder last night in the Xfinity series had a horrific wreck. His car got caught in the catch fence, tearing the front and rear end off. We did see Harrison Burton flip over, but we didn't see that car come into impact with the catch fence, which is why I think Myatt Snyder's car was as badly damaged as it was. Is because the catch fence basically just ripped the car to shreds, like it did with Austin Dillon in the 2015 summer race, and then Kyle Larson in 2013 Xfinity series. So one thing I noticed as I was watching today is the field was really even. Like you would watch and you would think, oh, okay, Keselowski's going to get out front, and this he's probably going to lead until 20 to go, and yada yada yada. But like we saw so many people get up there and contend in the lead. We saw Harrison Burton, Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, Blaney, a good mix of like all the manufacturers running up front. And that was the biggest takeaway for me is I thought, it was going to be all Penske or all Joe Gibbs the whole race, but it really wasn't. It was a good mix throughout the entire event.
yeah, for sure. But I don't. I think next week will be the test to see if this is actually going to be something where all teams are competitive. Every year you have your Corey LaJoyes running up front, David Reagan this year. You can always have those smaller teams. Michael McDowell running up front in the 500. I think next week we're really going to figure out if the next gen car is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think at the end of the day, you're still going to have your larger teams with more income to hire these engineers and run these simulations 15 times more than the smaller teams. That's where you're going to see your discrepancies in speed and everything.
Well, some teams like JTG don't even have Chevy Sim access, or they do now, but they didn't for the longest time, and that's a big deal. Limited wind tunnel time, all that stuff like that comes into play.
Yeah, next week they'll go back to Auto Club Speedway, which is a 2 mile oval, pretty rough surface too, which I heard they were patching up some of the spots on the track, but it's a really rough track. So I agree. Next week will be the real key deciding, how even is the field really now that we're out of the pack and out of drafting. So, any final thoughts from what you saw in the Daytona 500 today?
Like I said, it passed the eye test. Put on a good race. I'm glad to be wrong. Um,
First time you've ever said that, huh?
eh, we'll see. Who knows? But no, just like I said, just I'm glad I was wrong. I was expecting it to be a snooze fest, and I'm glad to eat my words and it put on an entertaining race. I'd rate it probably about a B overall as Daytona
Yeah.
500 goes. Could have been a little better, at the end, but I mean, I think just still just everybody learning the car. I think 2 years, next year down the road, or even Talladega, I expect the finish of it to be 5 times as good as what it was today.
I think looking forward, just looking directly to next week, I think we've already seen a bunch of stuff breaking on these cars, whether it's the Clash for today. They haven't really had, I mean, the Clash brand new asphalt, brand new, nothing abrasive about that. Daytona's what, 10 years old or something, 11
Yeah,
years old,
yeah.
something like that. Auto Club is like Atlanta old in terms of the surface, or old Atlanta old. What is that going to do to these parts? Are we going to have a bunch of parts failures next week? What's going to happen? And I think that'll be what's interesting about next week.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with David's assessment. I'd give the race today a B overall. I liked what I saw, and I think it's just going to get better as they get more experience racing on these super speedways. And for reference, if anyone's keeping up with our race picks, Nick chose Hamlin today, David chose Justin Haley, and I chose Ryan Blaney.
Oh, you were close.
Damn wheels.
I was close. I was close. Yeah, Justin Haley had a tire come off or
No,
tire
wheel,
cart. Yeah,
Wheel.
the
wheel.
wheel.
Yeah, it came apart.
Yeah, and then Nick's driver Denny Hamlin was caught in that first big wreck. And Blaney, well, he comes home fourth.
Yeah.
He was close, but
He's going to be the new Dale Earnhardt when it comes to 500s. It seems like he's always there at the end.
And can win at every other one there is.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, if
All
we're talking
right.
about my personal pick, Stenhouse, we just got Keselowski. So,
We need to make that a term. Keselowski'd. Is that what you said?
yeah,
Yeah.
Keselowski, Logano, Bubba. Bubba will probably be the most used one.
What
So
about Stenhouse?
Logano would be you got blocked.
We come up with
Yeah.
sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to pre-order the diecast, links in the description. Austin Cindric, race winner. No Myatt Snyder raced version. I know David asked
Yeah, I
about
was
that,
asking
but
for that. See if they come out with a Myatt Snyder Daytona race version. That'd be great to have.
Yes. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in tonight, and we'll be back for more content this week.